We have our third and final speaker coming up to join us on stage in just a minute. I must say I met Ben a little while back at a conference, I think, and then we caught up and had lunch, and that's when I first got to hear about his resume, which is quite an interesting one. I don't want to steal his thunder, but in a minute I'm about to welcome to the stage a Stanford MBA class of 2008 graduate, Goldman Sachs FX sales trader from New York, McKinsey & Company engagement manager, and Envato director of strategy and business development. I'm not even sure I picked up all of the major brands that he worked in just about 7 years in New York. And he also, yes, did work on the trading floor during the GFC. So hopefully I haven't totally stolen his thunder, but where are you, Ben Chan? I'd love to welcome you up here.
Total lies, all lies. I think you've been speaking with my mum a bit too much. Thanks everyone for joining. I thought I'd just give a little speech about how I got through the different things that I've gotten through, and there's lots of learnings, lots of mistakes all the way through, so hopefully they will be entertaining. Unlike the previous two speakers, I did not have a very tech or digital background. In fact, it was only last month that I learned how to spell digital. And ever since then, I've been on Twitter going #digital because there's so many people on that one. My background was very, very commercial. So I did commerce and civil engineering at Melbourne Uni. And in commerce, it was actuarial studies. And people were like, so why do you study actuarial studies and civil engineering? And I thought, well, that was a damn good question. And so I had to come up with a response. And my response was, so I could build you a bridge and then sell you insurance on it. Anyway, so it was funny when I thought about it. So fourth year uni comes about, and I have no interest whatsoever at finding a job, but people around me start saying, you need to get an internship. I'm like, great, all right, well, what's the internship that I should go for? And people, the whole craze was investment banking at the time, and so I thought, all right, well, I'll check out what an investment bank does. And people were talking about all these brand names, and I said, who's the number one brand name? And they said Goldman. I was like, great. And I hear there's lots of hours involved. Which is the division that has the least hours? Equities. Great. Goldman Equities. I would like to apply for a job. And luckily I got in. I prepped like crazy. I read the Wall Street Journal, Australian Financial Review every single day for 6 months before the interviews, and just got worded up. And I think that was one of the big learnings for me, was the preparation for an interview was really critical. And it was almost like every question they asked me, I'd read about it somewhere, and I had a point of view. And I always tell my staff, always have an answer, have a view of the top 3 stocks you want to buy. And it doesn't matter what they are, just have a rationale for it. So I got through that. At the end of the internship, they offered me a role, and at the time it was such a fun environment. I was on the phone with my mum. I'm really close to my mum. Like any good Asian boy, I stayed at home until I got married. And I said, Mum, I get paid to yell at people. This is the trading floor. I love it. Anyway, I got the offer, and before I signed the offer, the MD at Goldman sat me down and said, Ben, what do you actually want to do? And being uninformed, Ben, I was like, I don't know, but I want to do an MBA at Stanford or Harvard. And he said, why? And I'm like, well, my dad told me to. And he's like, okay, if that's really what you want to do, then you should go to McKinsey. And I said, who's McKinsey? And he's like, oh my God, how do you not know who McKinsey is? Well, I didn't know who Goldman was before I applied. and he said, look, if you want to go to Stanford or Harvard and do an MBA, go to McKinsey because that's the best way through, and that will give you the platform. So that day, I get online, look up the applications, and the application was due that day, and I looked at Bain and BCG and applied there as well. So I submitted my resume, got interviews with those guys the following couple of days, and got offers with all three. And I went back to the Goldman MD, and I said, "Is this really the right thing I should do?" He's like, "Yes. It will give you the best foundation. If you come to Goldman, you know how to yell at people, you know how to nail spreadsheets, but not much else." So I took the job, and I was very grateful for that advice. He's earned my loyalty for a long time, because the foundation that I received at McKinsey, and I tell every undergrad student or any person that still wants to grow from that kind of base to try and get into these management consulting firms, because we learned how to analyze structure, communicate, blah, blah, blah. I got to travel. So I was this 23-year-old that got to travel to Asia and London, whatnot, in first class. I guess that's why I like the job. I got to stay at really cool hotels. At the end of that, I applied to Stanford, got in to the MBA program, and I thought I'd seen a lot of companies and saw a lot of different industries. I realized when I got to Stanford that I knew nothing. Right? My peers were just amazing. They'd done really cool things in various industries. I think I went there a little early. So one of the things that I took away from that was I wanted to do a Stanford MBA because my dad told me to, like, seriously. And I got there and had a great time, but didn't really get kind of the thing that I should have got out of it, which was a business idea for a startup or something like that. I went there, had a great time, networked, and had the best time of my life. And then at the end of that, I was like, well, what do I want to do? And I really wanted to go back to the trading floor, and I loved it. So I called up Goldman and applied. And they actually said, no, we don't take Stanford MBAs for our trading floor. And I was like, why is that? He said, well, you guys are too fickle-minded, and you go here and you say, oh, the world's too, there's other things in the world, and you got to do things. I'm like, no, I really want to do this. And so I went through a separate path. I didn't take no for an answer. So I went through a separate path. Applied via their investment banking division and private wealth management, the areas I have no interest in because they're longer than 60 hours a week, and got in via that way. And so the thing I learnt from that was never take no for an answer. You just have to go after it. And if something blocks you, you just have to problem solve your way around it. So I then went to New York for Goldman Sachs and traded foreign exchange throughout the financial crisis. So I was there from 07 to 010. And yelled more than I've ever yelled before in my life. It really is like the Wolf of Wall Street. It's just stupid. And I remember one of the early weeks I was there, I took the Series 7 exam, which is a trading exam, and I got to the trading exam room, and there was a guy who was like really stressed. I'm like, what, are you okay? And he's looking at the TV screen. He's like, I'm here to do a exam for my bank, but my bank's just gone bust. And it was Lehman. And that was the start of my career. I remember one of the early months when everything was just going to crap. And the head trader came out, and news just flashed across. It was really bad news. And he's just come over to the trader that sat next to me and goes, sell 200 million euros now and don't F it up. Like, he didn't say F, he said something else. And I'm like, well, that's an interesting way to motivate your staff. And then the headline came across and said, correction, the data was actually wrong. It's like, buy it back, please. So anyway, at the end of my time at Goldman, I thought, well, this is fun, but at the end of 50 years, and I look back, what have I done? I've taken money from here, put it to there, and taken a bit for myself. And my dad's like, so? And I'm like, no, it's just not that satisfying. At which point I decided to come back to the business world and do my little change, do whatever change I could to the world. So I came back to McKinsey in Melbourne, became an engagement manager. And in the last 12 months, I realized that I didn't want to be a career consultant. I actually wanted to do stuff. And I was joking at the start, I do love digital. I was, amongst my friends, I'm the early adopter, and I paid for everyone's WhatsApp, sign up fee thing. And then Envato was one of the companies that I spoke with. And it was the perfect combination of commerce and digital. And so now I'm head of growth and revenue at Envato. And let me tell you a bit about Envato, because not many people have heard of Envato like they've heard of PayPal and Telstra. So we are the place that enables people to create projects faster and better. So we've got three main business units. There's a tutorial education site that people can come and learn about photography, learn about coding websites. There's a marketplace where people come and buy and sell website templates. We're the number one market for WordPress templates, for example. And then there's a freelance marketplace where people can come and buy services. And last year we broke the top 100 most visited websites in the world. The thing I learnt at Envato was the importance of a can-do mentality. So I came in as director of strategy with a small group of 5 people, and I made sure I had a can-do mentality. And what that meant to me was, as things come my way, just put your hand up for it. And slowly, I spent 50% of my role on 50% of my time on my role, and 50% on other stuff that I thought I could improve. And then slowly, business units started to come under my remit, and now I'm head of a 30-person group. And a lot of people say, what helped you navigate your way through? And I see it as 3 things. So the first is work smart. So until this day, I've never finished or read or finished a book. Never read a case for business school, and I've never worked more than 65 hours a week, never worked on a weekend, never worked past midnight. And that's like a line that I've drawn. And it's about prioritization and making sure you work on the right things. The second thing is networking. It's great to excel at your role, but then you actually need to get your name out there. You need to talk with recruiters, talk with people in industries, so that when number 3 comes along, which is luck, you've done the work, you've networked your way around, so that you can take hold of that opportunity. And I think about networking. Coming to these events are networking, but my guess is 10% of the crowd here 90% of the crowd here won't actually then make use of the connections you've just made, right? There won't be follow-up. But the 10% that do are the ones that get ahead. And so I thought I'd just leave you with that thought at this great networking event.